Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Tracey.
I'm Carol.
And we are reunited, and it feels so good. Reunited because it's understood.
Bow, bow, bow.
We are my Outlander Purgatory, y'all. And we're feeling very good this evening. Oh, we're quite giddy. Carol, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing.
You do.
I'm doing. I'm gonna jump the gun. I don't know what I just said. I bought a new wine for tonight, and I forgot. And it's red because you made fun of me last week. And I bought a new wine that I haven't had in years, and I used to love it. And I saw it in the store, and I'm like, buying that. And I forgot to open it, so don't even ask, because you know what this is. Tracey, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking yet another Finger Lakes wine, because we got like a case of it. This is the Ravine Chardonnay. It's pretty good. It's kind of crisp. It's not quite as big and oaky as I tend to like, but it's good. But I think I'm running out of the Finger Lakes wine. I need to go get more.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to buy you some Chardonnay? And I went in her Shardy, you guys, and I went into the liquor store, and I told them, they were like, "Are you looking for anything?" And I was like, "My sister wants Chardonnay," and they're looking at the Chardonnay with me, and I'm like, "She said she wants something like really oaky," and they're like, "That's what Chardonnay is oaky," and I'm standing there like, "Okay."
There are Chardonnays that aren't oaky, that are lighter and crisper, but I like a nice big buttery Chardonnay. It's good. So I don't know how many of you guys caught our little escapades on Friday night.
Our dad did.
I know. Oh my God, you guys, our dad saw that video.
Oh my God! At least he didn't say to you.
I still, we never revisited that, like how he found that. I think maybe our mom like follows Mount Outlander Purgatory.
What's he doing on Mom's?
Because
She's it.
I know Carol. I don't think Carol does this. Like, I don't tend to like on my personal Facebook. I don't tend to like. I always call what we do here my Batman identity, because I don't really like. There's not everybody in my life knows that I do this. It's kind of like this secret, like fun thing. So, I've never had one of our My Outlander Purgatory videos on my regular Facebook page, let alone some video that Carol and I did of Facebook Live when we were kind of cropped in New York City.
Jesus God, that wasn't on our page, my page, was it?
I would die.
No, that was on My Outlander Purgatory. Let me tell you something, you guys. So I see my dad. We see my parents the other night, and my dad, haven't seen him in a long time, and what does he say to me? "Hey, have you sobered up yet?" And I'm like, I feign like, offense. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, your video on there from New York City with your sister."
But yeah, so Carol and I had a little night out in New York City, and did a couple of Facebook Lives. Had a few glasses, did some Facebook Lives. And so if you haven't watched them, they're pretty funny. They're pretty fun. If you enjoy this kind of shtick, go over to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/MyOutlanderPurgatory. And you'll find them there, and they're like good for a laugh, and they're not as long as these videos. So there you go.
Oh, they're good for a really good laugh.
They're good for a really good laugh. One's in a cab in New York, and one's in the room that we stayed in.
Yeah, it was like cabbie confessions.
Oh my God, it totally was. It was like driving in cars with coffee, or whatever that Jerry Seinfeld show is. I know. No, what's the cab one called? Like After Hours?
Something Confessions or something, isn't it? Or
yeah, it's very funny. All right.
Somebody asked us that during it, I think. I don't remember what it's called. That just came back to me as a flashback. What was I going to say? And you guys, I promise that I am going to do my very best not to do this week. I was distracting myself when I watched our video from last week. I don't know what came over me, but I was just like kind of OCD nightmare. Like my hair, like I don't know what it was, but it was weird. So I apologize.
Okay. So we've had our reunion episode.
Oh, dear God.
The season has been like leading down this road, Jamie's been on this road, Claire's been on this road.
Poldark's been on this road.
I know. Poldark's going this way and that way. But this is the week, this is the episode that Jamie and Claire converged in Rhodes.
So awesome.
So I want to preface something. I want to just preface like this whole episode and our recap of it by saying that, as we've said many times before, Carol and I are both book readers. We started out with the books. We've been reading the books for 8 years now. In fact, I know it's 8 years because you all remember how I started reading the first book when I was in Puerto Rico, and my Puerto Rico pictures have been coming up like all the time on Facebook lately, so I know it's not 8 years. So our judgment and vision is always going to be clouded by the fact that we are book readers.
Oh boy, she's apologizing
episode,
already.
In particular, it's going to be clouded by the fact that it covers maybe, at least for me, my 3 favorite chapters of the entire series. So they had a hard row to hoe for me here. That's what I'm going to say. That's how I'm preferencing it.
I thought you said a hard road hoe. I was like,
well, there were hard road hoes, in the episode as well. But we'll get to those. So that's just what I'm saying. Right. Like, don't crucify me in the comments for anything I might say. You know, it
to each his own.
They had a hard task for me. And I want to say right off the top, I thought Sam and Kat did an amazing job with this episode. Oh,
here's the thing. I feel bad because poor Kat, because I'm always like, this season I've been Sam. But I've been Kat. I'm sorry, I have to call her Kate. I can't call her Kat.
It's Kat. It's Caitriona, not Caitriona.
I know, but I can't help it. I don't want to just hear it that way. She's amazing. We've all known that, forever. So she's just as amazing this season as she always is. But holy cow, Sam Heughan, I don't know what you did to yourself, my man, but
he even sounds different. Like this whole episode, he was rocking a Scottish accent like he's never rocked before.
Well, he's so bringing it. And let me say that during the books, I will go back and find my blog post where I was like, you know what? I think I'm starting to feel like I like older Jamie and Claire better than younger Jamie and Claire. And it's probably my age. But there's a confidence. It's like Jamie's more confident, so Sam is more. I can't explain it, but he's just fabulous.
I will agree with you there. I don't see as much of an older attitude in Claire. Maybe because she was always kind of an old soul to begin with.
She's always been an old soul to begin with. That's exactly right. I don't think I saw much of a change in the books.
Right.
You know?
Agreed. But I agree. And the Sam stuff, and it's subtle. It's not like, now he's talking like this and he's like looking really old. And
no, it's just
just a presence. It's a presence that's like maturity and experience and wisdom and hard living, and jail.
When she says no is her second word and he says, oh, they learned that one fast. I'm like, God, he's perfection.
Yeah.
All right, anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I said my piece. I said my preface.
Oh, no, I don't think you've said all your piece yet. We're still waiting for some of the piece.
Well, no. I mean, like I said, any comments that I might make in a less than pleased manner have to do with the fact that these are like my favorite parts of the whole book. And I literally have passages memorized.
Right.
And you might notice that the book is not over there because it's over here because I may have to actually read a couple of little parts. Okay, let's go. Are you good?
Yes.
Okay. So we are on episode 306 called A Malcolm. Like it. And for the first time, I think, that I can remember, we get a cold open.
Oh, yeah.
There's no
Wait a minute. Did I miss something? What's happening?
I know. We get a cold open. Jamie is being dressed by a French woman. And she says, oh, oui, oui, monsieur. And Jamie's like...
Yeah, and we're all like...
And you don't quite know what's going on there, but, clearly they are kind of going to take this from his point of view now. When we left off, it was Claire's point of view. She saw him. He passed out. Now we see his life. We see what he's up to. And we're not quite sure, except there's a French woman involved in it.
And much like Edward's point of view, it's delicious.
This is Jamie's Midnight Sun, and we're up for it.
Why do I always love their point of view?
I know.
And I don't know that I would have loved it had I seen it first. I always seeing Claire's
first.
What?
You like the girl's point of view first. Oh, I have to interject one more thing. I have my cold. I forget if I had a cold last. Oh no, we didn't do this last week. I had a cold on Friday. And it's turned into, full-blown bronchitis or something. So I'm going to be hacking like a mofo and, I'll turn away from the mic and deal. Okay.
Ew.
I know.
Are you okay?
It's
Cough
just
into your elbow. Into your elbow.
That's are you guys of an age where, do people get to be a certain age where they didn't learn to do it this way? You just learn to do it this way, and you just always forget to do it that way.
You know what? When you spend all day in the hospital, you really pay attention to the rules.
You should just wear a mask. Because sometimes they make you in hospitals.
Same thing with schools with children. Yeah, you're like.
Well, the little kids have learned to do that, but we didn't learn, so I always forget to do it that way. But anyway, no, it's just I don't know if it's all coming to a head or whatever. I don't know. But it's icky. Okay, so Jamie leaves wherever this place is that he's been living with a French woman, and he puts on his tricorn hat, and I just go, oh.
And that's all she wrote.
Jamie the Patriot. Jamie in a tricorn hat, I just can't resist a dude in a tricorn hat.
I know. I'm sorry. Are you thinking a little about turn? It's tricorn heaven.
It is tricorn heaven. Okay. So Jamie's walking down the street of Edinburgh. He's all proud and happy, and he gets to this establishment of A. Malcolm Printer. He looks over the sign and he wipes off a smudge. What?
I have How Do You Like the Celtic Brady music while he's walking to it.
It's totally Celtic Brady music. It was totally. It's the music of Jamie dun 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 dun.
Totally was.
It's totally that's the greatest. The Celtic Brady music. Okay. So he goes inside, he hears some sort of ruckus downstairs.
Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
He pulls out his, it's not quite a skin do, but it's a little smaller than a dirk, so I don't know what you would call it. He, sneaks downstairs, and then he realizes it's just these two dudes from Ardsmuir that, I don't even know. They're basically, his lackeys, I guess. McDo. So he sends him out on an errand to go deliver some seditious pamphlets. But he's like, you better be careful, because if you're discovered on American soil, it could mean both our necks. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Peter Brady.
Do 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 do. I think we should petition to get one of the Brady actors to come on one of these with us, since we mentioned the Bradys so much.
I wonder which Brady would be most likely to come on it.
Peter, he wants the publicity.
I saw him once in New York City, and I went to pieces. I just was like, oh my god. Went back when he was married to that model, because she was there too.
I'm going to assume that didn't really last.
No, I don't think so.
Was she a model? They were just on that.
She was on America's Top Model or something, wasn't she?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But Okay, so they go off, and in comes Jordy. And Jordy's a bit of a
wet noodle.
He's a bit of a wet noodle. He's a bit uptight. I think Jordy just needs to, like, have a few glasses of wine with the Purgatory girls. And then he will learn to chill out just a little bit.
Another video. Let's get him.
We should. Oh, we should get the Jordy guy. That's not a bad idea, actually. Yes, he's got the gouter and the tood, as I put down.
Okay, two things. Number one, little bit of a squirrel, but I saw a post on Hugh's Facebook page the other day from Wee Roger's Granda. Did I send you that? Did I show you that?
No, but I forget if you ever like actually told anybody about this here.
I guess I could now. Like, you know, it's a while later. All right, you guys, we interrupt this episode.
Breaking news! Discussion. Breaking Purgatory news!
I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but my friend Hugh, who is on a Purgatory clip at somewhere on myoutlanderpurgatory.com, is from Scotland, lives outside Glasgow, and is friends with Wee Roger's Granda. And it's so funny because he told me this back before season 2 and told me that he was filming and was like, you cannot tell anybody that, like, you're sworn to secrecy. So it was really good. I didn't say anything. But yeah, Tracey and I think we have discussed this. Tracey and I considered seeing if we could get Wee Roger to do a little interview with us. I was going to email him, but I don't know. He's a little kid. Tracey and I are
not that little anymore.
He's probably not that little anymore. And the second thing I was going to say was, back to our discussion at hand, you guys, this is awful, and I apologize to anyone who has a goiter or ever had a goiter, but Jordy's goiter, first of all, first watch, are you still there?
Yeah.
Wow, something weird just happened.
Your light, all of a sudden you like had that like clear, glowy light.
Yeah, like all of a sudden my mail was on. My mail just like opened. So I didn't realize on my first watch that he has this goiter that's covered up in a
goiter
scarf.
Cover?
And they're like, oh yeah, your goiter. Before Tom had his surgery, he had a lump on his neck. And it wasn't that big, but we were referring to it as his goiter. Not to make fun of those with a goiter, but just saying, your goiter, blah, 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 blah. So when I saw Jordy's covering his goiter.
Did Tom wear a fashionable scarf over his goiter?
No, thankfully. It was large, but it wasn't that large. So I just was like, wow, poor Jordy. How did I miss that the first time? I was just laughing so hard at those guys, like laughing at him, that I didn't really put two and two together that my man Jordy has a big goiter that he's covering up with it.
Yeah. So, I guess if you have a goiter, it would make you sort of irritable anyway. So,
right, poor guy.
So I get it, Jordy. I get it.
Poor Jordy's not getting anything done to that goiter. You got a goiter for life.
He's got a goiter. He has to work. He's his boss is the king of men. It's enough to put anybody in a bad mood, so I get it. You'll never do as good as your boss, and you have a goiter. So there you go,
Jordy.
Little
dog.
So okay.
He's a rude dog.
So Jamie's like, I need some ash. Go get some.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say ass. Ass, go get some. Wow.
No, Jamie,
you really
get that
through.
Soon enough. Just hang, just chill for your day. Just be patient. No. So he sends Jordy off to go get some ash for the printer. I do love how we totally learn how to typeset stuff. I mean, true, we already knew how from watching Turn, but it was good to get a refresher course. And I'm gonna tell you, it never ceases to amaze me how people used to print back then. Think about this book, right?
Oh my gosh.
They had to print every single page of this book. Not by hand, but by going boom, boom, boom. Every newspaper that people read, was printed and hung up on a clothesline somewhere. Think about the amount of work that took.
That reminded me of when I used to go into school and help the little wee ones, the wee bairns, with art appreciation and doing Courier and Oz, and we did a whole print project, and pretty How did they get those papers out as often as they did, considering all the work that they must have been so time consuming?
And I mean, think about it. Like, each page of the paper had to be typeset. Like, they had the little, you know, I don't know if they were like words or what, but like they had to put together. I mean, I work in publishing, and I'm old enough to remember the days of like, you know, typewriters and like sending stuff out to get repro made, and like having a waxer, and you'd have to do paste up, and you know, with your X-Acto knife, and you'd be like, you know, if you had to cut some text, you'd use like a tissue. Anybody in publishing that's old knows what I'm talking about. You know, I mean, and that took forever. So it's just very fascinating to me to see how this all worked. I read somewhere that Sam learned how to do this. Like, they made some printing presses for this, and Sam learned how to work them, and he typeset all the stuff that you see, which is really cool.
Someday, are we going to be able to bid on those, like the turn auction?
I know, right? Would that be cool? I totally would love a printing press in my
like
house.
like a bar. You could use one for like a bar. Oh my God, how cool would that?
Well, I bet you could also do use it like a pasta maker or something too. There's probably many uses for an old printing press. Many uses.
Did you see Neil's table that he got at the turn auction? Did any of you guys get anything from the turn auction? If you did, let us know in the comments.
Okay.
Our friend Neil in Virginia got a way cool gate leg table.
Okay. Let's move on because we're still stuck in the cold open. Okay, so we see the whole reunion from his point of view. You had said something the other day that I thought was very interesting, and I meant to time it, and I didn't. You said you felt like it took forever between It's Me and Claire.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me wonder... it was the same amount of time?
I have to watch it because I watched it tonight, and I was like, I don't think it was in this.
Because that would have been a cool thing to do, like, from her point of view... the week before, say, it's me, Claire. But from his point of view, hearing her be like, it's me, Claire. You know what I mean? Like that, time would slow down. It would be like the bionic time, like, you know? I don't know that, but I guess maybe that's not the case. I don't know. It doesn't sound like you really noticed that.
I don't know, but his eyes... in his point of view when all of that went down.
Yes. Amazing.
I wonder how many takes, like how many times did they have to do that?
I wonder how he fainted like that, because that was a hard fall.
Yeah, I know.
And it's hard to do a good feint like that.
And then there she was. How'd she get down there so fast? Did she fly down with her umbrella like Mary Poppins?
So that's the cold open. We go into our starting. We see our two names, John Bell and César Dombray. Now, and I should say our writer is Matt Roberts, and our director is a new director this week, Norma Bailey. Thoughts on the Easter egg of this week? It basically was like...
it was just their names on the printer.
And the director's name, like that Jamie had printed it. I did not like it.
You didn't
like it at all.
Well, it was it was like Christopher Reeve and the Penny in Somewhere in Time. It was like bringing real life into Outlander.
Yes.
I was like, no.
It was on really
the one
odd.
hand, on the one hand, it was really cool that they did that, but on the other hand, I felt like I was watching like Frosty when they do the credits and they have like or like Rudolph, where Rudolph's there, and all of a sudden in the snowball is like one of the writers' names, and
Sorry. Jamie wouldn't be printing that because like they don't exist then. It was too much crossing the streams for me. You know, I just didn't like it. It was weird. It was weird and odd. Okay. So.
And did you notice what the two fellows from Ardsmere said?
No. What?
I was like freaking out when they were like, you know, Ian said we could sleep here, or whatever he said.
Oh, I missed that.
Young Ian said we could sleep here, or whatever. And I was like,
I
you know,
totally missed that.
how much, who loves Ian more than me? Who loves Ian? Well, I probably shouldn't continue because again, there are non-book readers who watch, so.
We'll get to young
Well,
Ian.
they've met him, so they know he exists.
So, okay. So we're reunited, and he wakes up, and, you know, they talk a little bit, and, you know, he's like, oh my God, oh no, I just spilled the ale pot, and I thought I peed myself. And it was funny. It's fun. It's totally funny in the book. And then he's like, well, I guess I have to take my pants off now. And so he does. It was, and again, just, you know, bear with me, people, because it's going to be in the book, in the book, like, it was a little odd to me that it was like, you know, here's Jamie, like, Claire, is it really you? Boom. Oh, shit, I spilled ale all over myself. Guess I have to take my pants off.
Whoopsie.
I mean, that happens in the book, but there's a lot that happens between the time that he wakes up and he takes his pants off. Like, probably, you know, a half hour of, like, them, like, embracing and...
Yeah.
You know, kind of... not catching up a little bit, but, like, I think maybe I forget if the whole, like, may I kiss you kind of thing happens before the pants come off. It was just I feel like a lot of the stuff that they did in this episode was to make the fans happy. Like, they picked a lot of the really fun favorite stuff from the books and made sure to put it in. And maybe to the detriment of some scenes in some cases.
So, Tracey, you are a little bit discombobulated, it sounds like, because of the differences between the book and the show.
Well, it's not so much the differences. It's that, like, by trying to put the ale pot, by shoehorning the ale pot in there, I just felt it was a little weird. I was like, would Jamie, like, de-pants, like, within 5 seconds of this happening?
Well, it's probable, unfortunately, we have to look at real life. They probably had more and just had to cut it. So that's what we got. And think about it. There was no 4-minute lecture on the 3 other dudes who rode with Paul Revere, which my own wee Ian knew all about and recited to me when I asked him, were there 2 dudes with Paul Revere?
I know. I mean, I just like it's
so
it's,
there
it's fine.
There was no room for filler. You know what I'm saying?
It's
so
fine.
Maybe
it
they
just
cut
was
it out.
Weird to me. Like I would say, I missed the tears. I missed the you know. All right, we'll get into it. I'm looking at my notes and I said I missed the hug. Like I missed the like. You know, we just, like I always saw them in my mind, like, rocking back and forth, just kind of holding each other, kind of crying with, like, the 20 years of regret, whatever. Like, this big, sweeping moment. And I know they can't do it on TV, whatever. It's very different. So, they kind of skipped all that, and they went right to the, like, may I kiss you part. And that was really great. I mean, I thought, like, Claire, again... Caitriona Balfe needs to win an Emmy, like the best crying performances, because her tears and the control she has over when a tear falls,
right,
is like nothing I've ever seen before.
I was like, did they get these 2 mad at each other or something from last night? Now they're making up after some kind of fight. Like, it was so freaking believable with the 2 of them and the crying, and I was like, how do you even do this? I can't even fathom how you can do that, to the extent that myself, I can only speak for myself, you know, a Gabaldon book lover is sitting there buying it hook, line, and sinker.
I did. I did. Like, I think I got teary-eyed at different parts. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I did a little bit. When he was like, you know, I really want to kiss you, and she's like, okay, and they go in for it. and you see, like, if he's here and she's here, you see this tear, like, run down her nose at the same time that they meet. It's just so great. It was really, really great. And the whole there's the two of us now. Oh, really great. I just, like, I guess, you know what? I guess I wanted an episode where it's just that print shop moment, like, for the whole hour.
Oh my God. But I did think, I really liked it. I even have that written down when I was taking notes, and I just can't even, like, I couldn't even write. I couldn't even think. I couldn't even, because I'm watching this and taking notes for us talking. I was swept away in it, and I had already seen it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I thought it was very good.
I thought it was good. Again, I kind of missed the, it was a little early for the pantsing, but it's all good. So Jamie's like, she's like, do you have some more pants? And he's like, yeah, back here. Will you come with me? And so, and I like how he, like, takes her hand and they kind of walk into the back room together. So you see,
how does he like that? How he's like, we come with. When he first turned around, I couldn't remember, like, what he said in the book, and we Ian, everyone, we Ian. So I said, all right, enough, go.
All right, go now.
You being a bad parent, right? Am I being a bad parent when I'm like, go? All right, go, seriously. Okay, so that part where he turned around and was like, come with me. For a minute there, I thought he was going to, like, because he said, oh, it's back here, and he stopped. And when he turned around, I couldn't remember the book, but I thought he was going to say, like, you'll be here when I get back, right? Like, I was like, what happened? I seriously thought, because I felt like he was like, I'm not even leaving you for 2 seconds in this room. You know what I mean? You might not be here when I get back.
Right. Of course. That makes total sense. Sense.
But then he said, like, come with me. So I have to reread that too. I couldn't remember.
No, it's pretty much how it happens in the books. So they go in the back. Jamie is like, oh my goodness, the child, what happened? Claire pulls out the pictures.
Yeah. It's like a afterthought, He's like, oh yeah, we had a kid.
Well, no, I mean, I get that. Look, I get that. I got that from the book too. When he sees her, he's not thinking about the kid. He's thinking about her, And once they've kind of reconnected a little bit, then he's going to be like, oh my God.
Right.
What happened with all that? Which is fine.
Right.
But, okay.
Here it comes, y'all.
So Claire
y'all need to step back for this.
Claire pulls out these pictures, okay? And I don't honestly remember, like,
photographs.
Clearly they're like something important and something that's going to tell him about the daughter and about his child.
Yes.
And here's what goes down. Oh, wait a minute, Claire. Let me put on my glasses.
My spectacles.
Because, I'm so much older than I used to be. What?
I'm sorry.
I'm so, my sight is not what it used to be, and,
I hope I don't look old in these glasses.
And then, so, what is that over there? Oh, they're photographs. They're made with a camera. The camera takes an image of something. I'm like, are you fucking... and I should also apologize that I'm going to be swearing.
Oh, swear, sister girl, swear.
Are you effing kidding me with this talk about, like, how blind I am now because I'm old and what a camera does? Like... If he's, like, I don't remember if the understanding is there that these are images of his daughter. But don't you think he's going to be, like, knocking everything out of the way to see this?
And like sitting down right on the floor, right where he's standing. Like,
do you
oh
think
my
he's going to be in the
God.
frame of mind to be telling Claire about like, oh, it's such a bummer. I'm so old now that I need, you know, these reading glasses.
Yeah. Can you just wait a minute while I put my glasses on so I can see the pictures of the last 20 years of my offspring?
Yeah. I was just like way too much chatter. Way too much idle chatter. And I'm really trying to figure out what. I'm like, is he nervous? Is he like, what, you know, I'm scared to see these pictures? What if she looks like a freak? Like,
yeah. Like, yeah, exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody saying, like, you guys, you know, I can't see without my glasses either. I'd have to put on my glasses. I'm not disputing him putting on his glasses. It's just, why are we taking the time from this, like beyond poignant moment?
Right.
To even,
right. Exactly.
But don't get me wrong. I liked the glasses commentary. I loved the glasses commentary. I just wish it was. I just wish it was elsewhere.
Right.
I wish the glasses commentary had gone on at another time and place, not this special moment of the culmination of 20 years of them being apart.
What happened to the child?
What happened to my child?
Right.
Exactly. And as I recall, the child is the reason that you sent her back through the stones.
To begin with, right. She's
to
the
begin
child
with,
is the reason why she's been missing for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, like, don't you want to be hearing about that and not talking about your bad old fucking eyes? But, like, whatever. Okay. So, after all that conversation, they talk about the eyes and the glasses and the camera and how it works. And then he's like this. He's like, literally like, all right now, Claire. Now that I'm good and ready, show me my daughter. Like, he's like ready for the showcase showdown on Price is Right. I mean, like, are you sure you're ready, Jamie? Do you want to maybe put on another pair of pants? Are you good? You need a refill with your drink? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need a refill with your drink? Can I run down and grab some laundry for you?
So, okay. Finally, she hands over the goods. She hands over the pictures. He looks at the picture of baby Brianna with Claire, like, holding her. Now, this is where I need to read, you guys. For those, I mean, it's not a spoiler. For those of you who are book readers, you know exactly what I'm going to say. For those of you who are not book readers, this is, oh, now I had it open, shoot.
Is this the line I was talking about over the weekend?
Yeah.
That I was very, very upset that it didn't happen? It's okay. Here's okay. He took them from me, the photographs, gingerly, like one handling an unknown and possibly dangerous substance. Yes.
His big hand framed the photographs for a moment, holding them confined. I looked up at his face. It was absolutely blank with shock. He held the pictures close to his chest, unmoving, wide-eyed and staring as though he had just been transfixed by a crossbow bolt through the heart, as I suppose he had. Your daughter sent you this, and she kisses him. My daughter, she knows. Blah 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 blah. His hands were shaking so badly that he couldn't hold the pictures anymore. I thought they dropped out of his hand. I guess not. I had to show him the last few.
Shaking. Well, Tracey, I have to interrupt you. For those of you who didn't read the books, did you get handshaking, Jamie, out of this scene?
And I'm not talking, nice to meet you, Claire. I'm Jamie.
Not talking, let me put on my glasses.
Wait.
I'm talking so overwhelmed with what you are holding in your hand that they're shaking. Did you get that?
I found what I wanted to read. He splayed a hand out over the photographs, trembling fingers not quite touching the shiny surfaces, And then he turned and leaned towards me, slowly, with the improbable grace of a tall tree falling. He buried his face in my shoulder and went very quietly and thoroughly to pieces.
Dead.
Do you guys know I have to have these glasses because I'm old and yeah, whatever. No. Didn't get that.
Did you guys see anyone going to pieces?
No.
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 I was like, what? I kept waiting. I don't know about you. I was waiting for it. Waiting. I'm like, oh God, this is the one. This is the one that's going to send him right to the edge.
Well, he didn't look at, the thing is, he looked at the baby one, he looked at the one with the dog, and he looked at the one in the bikini. And I mean, for the love of F, the bikini one
should have sent him screaming into the streets.
I mean, it's funny. Again, it's funny. This happens. It doesn't happen here, I don't think. I think they either refer to him seeing this later on or whatever. And it happens exactly like that. He, freaks out. He's like, what the F, Claire? You let her dress like a slut? What? But it doesn't happen here. Here, in this moment where he goes quietly and thoroughly to pieces. Because he has never seen his daughter in 20 years. He didn't even know she existed. He didn't know what happened to her. So, to be like, why are you dressing her like a whore, Claire, is not part of this conversation.
Yeah. Especially when he just left Willie. Well, not just, but he left Willie because he was so consumed with love for his offspring that he didn't want to hurt this child. He knew that it would affect this child if he stuck around. He knew that if they figured it out that he was the father, there could be trouble. And he knew that this kid was born into a life of privilege, and that's the life that he had to have. Right. And that he certainly didn't want him, living his life. So he was going to have to go and let this child live his own life. Right. That's how much he loved this kid. Right. So fast forward to Brianna. Oh, it's a terrible name. That was interesting too.
That's part of actually. That's in the book. That's part of the book. I
know. I remember all of it. I'm just saying, the way it was done, I was kind of ow. Whatever.
All I know is, and when I wrote this down, I said they 100% could have cut all the glasses crap to give that moment its due.
And why not? And why not? Why aren't we going to have Sam Heughan show us that? Why? Right. What's the problem?
Right. Exactly.
He couldn't have put his head down in his hands and shaken a little bit. Come on now. Why aren't we doing that?
Well,
why aren't we giving the viewers what they want to see here?
I think I can answer that question for you because it's of what comes next.
Yeah, which don't even get me. There's got to be a reason for this, Tracey.
Okay, I'm going to just say that they look at a couple pictures of Brianna. Yeah, she's got a dog. Yeah, she dressed like a whore. What's up with that, Claire?
Didn't he tell Claire at that moment that she should be pronouncing it Brina?
No, he didn't tell her. In the book he does.
That's what I mean.
Brina.
In the book,
it's Brianna. And later on in the episode, he says it that way. Actually,
Brina. Yeah,
and I actually liked how they did that. He decides that this is the perfect opportunity to fess up to Claire that he, in fact, has another kid.
Yeah. I think I have written down, Claire, let me just walk away from my daughter to tell you about my son.
Yeah.
Now, what was that?
I think we're going to have to put a spoiler on here. I don't know how... It's really not. It's not that spoilery, but it's spoilery enough because of. It's spoilery enough that if you're totally Carol and don't want to know anything, this is really more kind of a difference between how this is presented in the book and how it's presented in the show. So I'm going to put the spoiler on. Do you agree?
I concur.
But we're gonna have this out. So I would say, even if you don't like spoilers, this might be a good thing to watch anyway. So Sheldon.
Excuse me, spoiler alert.
Okay. So Jamie decides that this is the great moment to tell Claire about Willie. I hated this so much. I can't even describe. I can't even put into words how much I hated this choice. This moment, and I'm not using because it's in the books as an excuse. I'm using because this is Claire and Jamie who have been reunited after 20 years. This is Jamie who didn't know what the fuck happened to his kid and has wondered this as much as wondered about Claire for 20 years. Has now learned that she exists, that she's a she, that this is what she looks like. And what does he want to do? He wants to tell Claire about his other kid.
This kid, that kid.
I mean, and you know me, I'm not a big Bree fan, but like Bree gets the shaft 3 weeks to Sunday over this.
Okay,
this moment should be all about Claire and Jamie's child and nothing else.
Actually, that moment was all about how much I love that blouse and your little dangly. Show them your little dangly arms.
Yeah, I just got
so
Target
cute.
that.
Okay, I digress. Do you think? Gosh, are we still on the spoiler alert?
Well, actually, I should say why we put it on the spoiler alert. In the books, for those of you who are listening to me and have continued to watch this. This is revealed, but it's revealed almost at the end of the book. There are some surprises that Jamie has in store for Claire that maybe he's not quite honest about. Coming up.
We've seen a little. We've gotten a little taste in this episode. They gave you a little.
But what happens is, very, very towards the end of the book, Lord John reappears. And as we know, Lord John has been taking care of Willie with his new wife, Isabel. And Claire comes upon, she comes upon Lord John and Jamie,
in an embrace.
In an embrace, okay? Not a make-out embrace, I think just like a hugging embrace.
Of course.
And she's like, huh? The hell is this? And she's like, and again, remember that, she's already found out some stuff that Jamie did not tell her. And she's all like, the F, Jamie, what are you hiding from me now? What? And he's like, chill. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I have a son. Lord John takes care of him. I think Lord John maybe gave him that, cameo or whatever it was at that point. Yeah,
where it makes sense.
But point being, this all gets found out way later in the book. Way later in the book. Why they decided to do it now and take away... I mean, if I'm Claire, I'm like, hi, Jamie. Aren't we talking about our daughter right now? Not your daughter with some putana?
Who is... Now, I couldn't remember if this was in the book either. I think it might have been one of my beefs. I don't think he ever told... In fact, I think I blogged about this. I don't think he ever told her. Did he ever tell her, or maybe later books, that Geneva blackmailed him and he had to?
I don't know. The only thing I remember for sure is Claire was like, "Did you love her?" And Damon was like, "No."
Because I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, it's sort of apples to oranges because Claire slept with Frank, duh. But Claire had already slept with Frank before she met him. They were married. So I almost kind of felt like he cheated on her, but she didn't cheat on him because she had already been with Frank pre-Jamie. So it wasn't really any, but he was with someone new.
Well, the thing is, I mean, it wasn't cheating on Claire, and Claire knew that. Claire knew, look, Jamie's had 20 years. I'm gone. I'm never coming back.
But Sister Girl's got cobwebs going on in there because she hasn't been doing anything in her twin beds, which were mentioned in the book. P.S. Forgot all about it. I read a little passage the other day, and I was like, in her twin bed.
Oh, really? Claire and Frank really did have twin beds?
I got to go back over it, but I read a passage the other day, and I'm like, this says right here twin beds. It was when I was looking through quotes of mine from where I highlighted because I used the Kindle, and I was looking for different things that I had said about different passages. Anyway, so that's not really, my point. But my point being that I just was like, if you're going to tell her that you have this son and that, I don't know, I guess you can't really go the distance and tell the whole story unless you're going to tell the whole story.
He pretty much did. I mean,
I wanted her. He just said I didn't love her, but I wanted him to say, it was once, and it was under duress, and I didn't want to. And I'll get into it later, Claire. I'll tell you after you meet Mr. Willoughby.
You know what I wanted him to say?
Nothing. Yeah. I agree. Let me ask you a question though. We're still in the spoiler alert, right? Just for a second.
I was going to turn it off, but
okay. So then I started thinking about how he offered himself to Lord John, and then we find out at some point. I think it's later. Was it later when he was explaining to Claire what he had done?
It was way later. I don't remember what book.
Okay, is that when? No, I thought it was when he and Jamie are in this big embrace, and Jamie's like, "Oh, John," and Claire walks in and sees it and is like, "What's going on here?" I think maybe at that point he discussed it with Claire. I thought maybe it was at that point that he explained himself and said, "I offered myself."
No, I don't think it is. I think we had this conversation last time.
Okay, but the point is, he did say, I offered myself to Lord John, but I didn't really mean it. I just was doing it to see what he would do, to see if he really had honor. And he did. He turned me down, which means he has honor, and that means he's okay to raise my son. I am going to, let him raise my son because he has honor. But my point being that at that point was when I thought that he fessed that up and fessed up about Willie and fessed the whole thing. And now this is twofold. Number one, he was supposed to tell her a long time going forward. So now we know that's not going to happen. Like, that scene can't happen now because she already knows about Willie.
Right.
Number one. Right. So now we know that's not happening. So they took it out for a reason.
Right.
They didn't, whether it's that they didn't want to go that route, that's where I'm digging back up the offer to Lord John. Maybe they just don't want to explain it. Maybe they just want the audience to think that he really meant it. I don't know. But that's number one. And number two, so why are you why are you doing it now? Number one. Number two, how dare you do it when she's talking about Brianna?
Yes, but I want to undo the spoiler for that. I will just say that I think that what you're thinking about, where he was like, well, I meant to do that. I meant to proposition Lord John because, then I would see if he was, a good guy. It's way late. It's, in the book 5 or 6.
I just pictured Pee-wee saying, I meant to do that.
And I always hated that because I always felt like that was some sort of, reaction to, it struck me as, I don't know. I never liked it. But anyway.
I think that your 21st century self didn't like it.
Of course. Not just I meant to do that. Yeah, I meant to do that. Not I'm. But we had this conversation before. All right.
I loved it. I loved the whole complexity of. I wanted to see what he was going to do, but that's a different conversation.
All right. We're going back to Unspoiled. Okay, we've taken the spoiler off, so we've had a little discussion behind the curtain about anything spoilery. But I will just say that
Tracey is none too happy.
I'm not too happy about this. All we talked about in the spoiler part is where this really. Yeah, you do find Claire does find this out eventually. Not at this point. What I wrote down is
at a more appropriate time. Right. She finds out.
What I wrote down is no. I hate this so much, and that's all in capital letters. This moment should be about Brianna, about their child, not Jeannie Francis or her douchey McDoucherson kid. I also don't like Willie very much in the later books, you guys, but that's another story.
I love Willie.
Let's tally what we learn about Brianna. And by we, I mean Jamie. What we learn about Brianna versus what we learn about Willie. We learn that Willie is strong and brawny and bratty and this and that and about half a dozen other adjectives that I'm not remembering.
Bra.
We learn that Brianna's first word was ball and her second word was no. And she has a dog. The end.
And she's a hoe on the beach.
Oh, and she's a hoe on the beach. That end.
And she has, but wait, what? I do have to say, threw me right over the edge when she said she has red hair like you, and he said like her sister. I was like, does Bree at this point even know she had a sister? Oh,
I remember.
She had a sister. She's an only child. That's kind of a big deal, like, for her to find out.
Saw Faith.
What?
Jamie never even saw Faith. I mean, I guess Claire told her about him, or told him about her, but
I couldn't remember that from the book.
But anyway, I just felt this was such a slap in the face to Brianna and to the idea of Jamie and Claire's child, to make the conversation really focused on Jamie's child.
Really?
I hated it. We'll see where it's going to go with this. We'll see why it's important to know it now. But that's my opinion.
Agreed. Agreed.
I know.
1,000%.
Carol and I actually did talk about this over the weekend. And so
because I thought the same thing. I'm telling you right now. First, it was, why... There have been times in this series where there's been a phrase that wasn't there that I was bumming about. I mentioned it here and there. This wasn't there. This wasn't there. I was disappointed, but I didn't complain because I was like, I get it. I totally get it. But when that man didn't go silently to pieces.
All to pieces, yes.
I lost my shiz because, are you kidding me? We needed to see that.
Right.
Just like we needed to see the kiss in the beginning. Like we needed to see the awkwardness of them having not seen each other in 20 years. We needed to see him go to pieces over his daughter. Right. Not only didn't we get to see him going to pieces, but I'll take it a step further. And he was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, let's talk about Willie.
My son, let me one up you. As if this is her kid without him.
I know. Yes.
Tracy, watch out. You sound like Claire.
All right. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
So Claire and Jamie head for the tavern, and they run into Fergus. So I loved that. That was great. Like Fergus was great. Fergus was like so happy to see Claire. And when
she's always been such a mother figure. So it was like when she touched his face, I loved it.
But I wrote down, look who gets a Jamie Lannister hand. Like that was a little bizarre. It's again, like in the books, it doesn't really matter. It's like a kind of a small detail, but he has a hook in the books. And that's pretty, that's pretty consistent, whatever. And I just like the Jamie Lannister hand. I mean, like, it's so Jamie Lannister. Like, it's just really is. Like, I mean, did you think that?
I totally thought that. I didn't really think about Jamie Lannister, I have to admit, but I was kind of like, well, where's the hook? Like, the hook is cool. Like, he's Captain Hook.
Right.
Yeah,
and I mean, I guess you could argue that, like, was it hard to make a hand like that? Because it's pretty detailed, but if Jamie Lannister could have one, and God knows when Game of Thrones takes place, so. All right, whatever. I'll buy it. It's all good.
Did someone say Jamie Lannister?
So, Fergus and Jamie have an interesting little conversation behind Claire's back, which is basically along the lines of, like, what's going on here? And Jamie says something like, well, I'm going to have to talk to Ned Gowan. There might not even be an issue. So that's one of those things that, like, maybe we want to remember because maybe it's going to be important at some point.
Yes. And I also have that, Claire, you might want to lower your voice a little while you're walking through town among all of these people and talking at the top of your lungs about Bonnie Prince Charlie and how his life turned out because you're from the future. When one is from the future, they need not talk about that future in front of everyone. I was like, shh, shh.
Okay. So we get to the tavern, and there's Mr. Willoughby, and we meet him.
Knew Mr. Willoughby was going to be so hot.
Really?
I did not picture Mr. Willoughby like that. I pictured Mr. Willoughby like old and like shriveled like Raymond or something. Mr. Willoughby is adorbs.
Now, I always pictured Mr. Willoughby as like that, about that age, someone who looks a little weird and is small and always drunk, but like could kick your ass. That's what I kind of saw him as.
I always loved Mr. Willoughby, and I will always love Mr. Willoughby.
I mean, he's much, like, I never saw him as, like, Mr. Miyagi. Like, he was always, like, in maybe his 40s or something like that to me. Oh, well, see, this is the thing. I keep forgetting. Like, Jamie and Claire really are supposed to be, like, in their late 40s. Or, I guess, mid-40s in Jamie's case.
22. He's supposed to be 45.
45. She's supposed to be 48,
and she's
49. No, he's probably supposed to be about 42.
She's 5 years older than him.
I think she's 48 when she goes back.
He was 22. Then he was 25 when she went back, and it's 20 years later. He should be 45, and she should be just around 50.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I guess I thought I pictured Mr. Willoughby about that age, but you know, they chat. You know, I have to say I've never been a huge Mr. Willoughby fan. He's kind of a means to an end in the book for me.
Love Mr. Willoughby. I think he's the neatest injection into this entire series. I just love him. He's just different, and he's just not the same old. Oh, I just love Mr. Willoughby.
I can't believe that we've been talking as much as we've been talking already. Oh,
I know.
My God.
All right, so let's move on. Mr. Willoughby, we don't really need to get into that scene too much.
So, meanwhile, Jamie has a meeting with a smuggling dude, tax guy. The tax guy, smuggling dude, wants 25% more next time. Jamie's like, as if, bro.
As if? All right, look up Clueless.
So, okay.
I just want you guys to know this is water now.
Yeah, this is all. I finished the bottle, so. Okay. So Jamie and Claire arrive at a brothel.
Ugh.
Jamie, 5 times is like, I should have taken you to a tavern. I should have, I thought about just staying at the print shop, but it's too small, and we need dinner. And I'm like, yeah, Jamie, you should have taken her to a tavern, because...
Yeah, it's cringeworthy. And you know what? It's cringeworthy in the books, too.
No, it's not cringeworthy in the books. That's just the point.
I'm just saying the point of him taking her to a brothel is cringeworthy.
Well, okay, the point of her taking to a brothel is cringeworthy. You know, yes, it's a little awkward. But, in the book, you know, maybe you're hearing some noises, but you're they're not doing it in the hallways.
It's not like
France?
It's not like a saloon with one girl's shirt hanging down.
I mean, it was too much. I'm sorry.
It was cheaper.
Yes.
It was cheaper in the show than it was in the books. The books was just like this house, and it was room, and they kind of went up. And
it was a very respectable establishment in the books. You didn't see somebody effing against a wall in the foyer.
Yeah. It was like a hotel.
Yes. Now, and I guess, yes, you need to make it clear what this place is. But, do you need, orgies going on everywhere? Can you just have, they didn't have that in France. They didn't even have that in France. When, they were at a whorehouse, with Prince Charlie or whatever. They had, painted ladies or whatever. Or when Myrtle went to get the wedding dress, remember that?
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. I mean, they weren't, banging all over the place.
All right. They weren't. You're right.
I mean, that, if Jamie had known that is what that was going to be, no way would he ever have taken Claire there. Ever, 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 ever.
I agree.
So I thought that was way overkill.
This is me agreeing.
Way overkill. But okay, so... Mademoiselle is all your wife? What?
Oh, I hate her, too. I hate her. I didn't hate her in the books, man. I hate her. She's just like a skank, and she's in love with him.
I know, right? Okay. They go upstairs. They start talking a little bit. She tells him...
I just have to interject. I'm sorry. I literally have written down, the brothel makes me so uncomfortable I can't even watch.
I know.
It made me sick to watch.
I know. I was like, would Jamie ever, ever, ever take her to this whorehouse? No way. No.
Right.
No.
Right.
No. He'd take her to a brothel, but not one where, pretty much everywhere you look, there's a threesome going on.
Yes.
No, that's not happening.
I told you where the garment is hanging down and there's one breasticey hanging out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Garments? Where were they? Because I hadn't seen no garments.
Well, Tracey, they have to keep your husbands and boyfriends watching, I guess. So they have to have a scene once in a while where...
Okay. Because, you know, the 40 minutes that's coming up, like, wasn't good enough for them, I guess, you know?
40.
Okay, but all right, whatever. Okay. So they go upstairs. They have a talk. You know, they kind of get interrupted by dinner arriving. I had to laugh because dinner looked like it was a bannock and grapes.
Oh, look, dinner.
It just made me laugh.
And who's cooking your dinner? Ew.
Oh, I think it's Brigitte or whatever, you know.
Would you want anyone in that?
Or whatever.
Would you want anyone in there touching your dinner? No.
Yeah, there's a little bit of cooties going on there.
Oh, a lot of bit of cooties.
So, and then we have our, you know, our other part of our reunion, which is the brothel. And I don't know. I just kind of took some random notes on there about, like, do you want to talk about what you thought of the scene?
Yeah, well, I do, because I have. This is the lines are kind of blurred as far as what's the show and what was Diana. And I read it years ago. I have to go back and read it again.
I think a lot of Jamie's lines were right out of the book.
Well, first of all, I have to say they very slightly covered the angst. In the book, there is major angst to the point of them like being mad at each other. Like
Yes,
like,
there's an edge in the book. There's an edge in the book that wasn't there. I agree.
And I love that. I love any kind of angst. I love any kind of like, you know,
Jamie's
where they
almost douchey to her in the book at times.
Yeah,
like,
they're kind of fighting.
Yeah.
And she's kind of feeling it's like the scene in Outlander when he goes off to have the ring made and she doesn't know he's having the ring made.
Right.
It's like that. So, and you're right along with Claire in this because it's first person and you're sitting here like this poor soul just left her daughter and her comfortable life for this 18th century nightmare with no running water and no hot water and, you know, disease, you know what I mean? And she did this. I remember blogging. God, I got to find those blog posts. She did all of this for you. And I wasn't mad at him though in the book. I wasn't mad at anyone, but I was just, again, I know I'm making no sense. I loved the angst. But it was all of that in there. Right. And he's kind of like got an attitude. Well, I'm sorry.
He's very accusatory of her. Like, what did you come back here for?
Yeah. He's even way more like, I'm a different guy now. And I'm not that guy that you knew 20 years ago. You're going to have to deal. Right. And you're sitting there like this poor woman. Oh my God. Like she left her daughter and now she's stuck with douchey McDouche pants who doesn't give a rat's ass. You know, but you're also at the same time, and again, I'm talking about the book, but the show, you're also at the same time like this poor soul. Look what he's been through. Of course, he's got like PTSD. Of course he's a dick. Look at what he's been through. You know what I mean? Like his wall is way up and she is not penetrating that wall because he's terrified because he's been through so much hell. So then I have written down about the show, he said he keeps the room, you know, if he needs a bed or, you know, if I need a meal and a bed.
Like late night meetings or whatever.
Yeah. And she says, sounds reasonable enough. And then he's like, why did you come back here? And this isn't the show because it happened in the book, but I remember the same thing thinking like you're saying, like in the book, he's sort of like, why'd you come back here? But like in the show, he's sort of just out of the blue is like, why'd you come back here? And I'm like, why does he think she came back here? Like, I don't even understand the conversation. And maybe it was just the way it was cut. And if they had to cut stuff out and there was more, I was just kind of like, what do you mean? Why are you asking her why she came back here? To me, it didn't fit in the show. It just didn't fit for him to ask her why she came back here. Like, do you not know why she came back here? Does anyone not know? What do you mean? Because I love you, dick.
I mean, I think I see now. I didn't get that as much. I do think that he asked her that same thing in the book, and he's a little harder about it, like we said.
They're both like
But,
she's mad and he's
But I got his point of view that he's like, you know, did you just come back here to be like, here's your daughter, here's some pictures that I know you're not gonna look at. Okay, bye. Like, or are we like going back? Are we like picking up where we left off and starting a new life together? Like, I think that's what he's saying. And I think in the book, it was a little harder. There was an edge to it.
It made more sense in the book.
There was.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry because I know I've been talking, but he sort of has she sort of got disdain, like is looking down her nose at his situation. So maybe that's why he's like, you know, like, if you have such a problem with me, why'd you come back? You know, like, this is it now. Because then he does go into, I'm a different guy. Like, this is my life now.
Right.
So I guess that's basically, why'd you come back? It just doesn't make sense to ask that question. I would see him asking more of like, you know, like, are you not happy with what you're seeing right now? Do you have a problem with the way I'm living my life? But not why'd you come back here? I think it's too like killer obvious why she came back.
See, I that didn't bother me as much.
But again, I'm not picking on the show because it's kind of that way in the book too.
No, it's totally in the book. It's totally in the book.
I guess it's just so much more elongated in the book. There's so much more detail that I didn't necessarily. I liked the feeling of the angst while I was reading. I don't know that the angst worked.
I don't think there was as much angst there. I think it was more of a question in the show. Like,
and that's what I'm saying.
Like, all right, I just need to know this. Like, did you come back to let me know about Brianna? And you're like, you know, you got to catch the 411 through the stones back to America and 2000 whatever, or are you staying here? Because if you're staying here,
stay.
I need to know that mentally. I need to be prepared for that mentally. I think he was sort of more matter of fact about it in the show. In the book, there was definitely an edge to it, and you know, maybe it's him protecting himself. Maybe it's like, you know, maybe it's like suspicion that I mean, look, obviously, what he's been through in the past 20 years, anybody would be suspicious about everything, you know?
I guess I don't want to sit here in the show and say, maybe this, maybe that. Like,
the show is the show and the book is the book. That part, I was okay with that. It didn't, you know, it was just different. But it didn't bother me in the way that, like, the choices in the print shop bothered me.
They definitely didn't give you that sense of, oh my God, this might not work.
Right.
In the
book, was almost
you're like, she might have to take her ass right back from those stones because this isn't working.
In the book, it was almost like he realized that he was a different person. And he was like, she needs to understand this about me. Like, in his head. So I'm going to be the most of the difference that I could possibly be right now.
Yeah.
Because she needs to see this. Because if she doesn't like this, she needs to get going.
Well, maybe they did it too because in the show, and this probably is part of the glasses, they're really trying to, and this might just be because the actors are the ages they are, they're really trying to show his age and that it's 20 years and then he's tired and he's done all this. But really, his attitude is just so, like, carefree and, like, still like a young guy that he's not really putting out there the whole, you know what, I'm just freaking tired. One time I went to a concert, a Duran Duran concert in the 90s in California, and they did this concert, and it was like some ska concert, whatever. And at one point, this girl, Michelle, that I know, like, some guy was, like, doing something weird, and then we're out at this concert, and we're all getting older, and somebody, like, starts moshing or something. I don't know. And this girl's like, oh, for God's sake, dude, I'm in my 30s. I didn't come here for a mosh. Like, I just want to see a concert. That's kind of how I felt about, that's kind of how I felt about Jamie. Like, he's supposed to be not hard, but he's lived. There's been a lot of hard living in these 20 years, and he's got to do what he's got to do. And he's kind of like resigned himself to the fact that he doesn't have a woman, and that this is it. And I'm going to have some fun with it, and I'm going to enjoy it. But, and then he's sort of also got that rebellious kind of, go ahead and hang me. You know what I mean? With the print shop and the sedition, the seditious literature that he's printing, and, okay, catch me if you can. Like, see if I care. What do I care? Go ahead. I've been through the ringer. I don't have a whole lot of good stuff happening right now, so whatever. And then, bam, here's Claire. And that's really what you have to get, is that he's like, I don't even know what to do right now.
Right, exactly. And he's just like, he's been screwed over so many times. He needs to know. He's not gonna open his heart.
Yeah.
Until he's sure.
Yeah.
And he's gonna make his heart even harder. That's.
I'm hearing quarter flash right now. I don't know about you.
All right. Okay. So, they finished their grape and their bannock. I just spit it out. Oh my God, that sounded like you threw up.
I had to spit it out. They finished their grape. I thought for sure when I was at the height of my laughing, you were going to get down into that microphone and go, Sandy Dufresne.
I wish I had thought of it.
Okay, sorry, you guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, and he's like, okay, well, come to bed with me. And she's like, okay. And then they do what can only be described as a striptease. I timed it, you guys. 4 minutes.
It was more like an underwear commercial.
4 minutes.
Tom and I were watching, and I turned to him and I'm like, oh my God, enough already. What are we doing?
So this was 74 minutes. Of those 74 minutes of the entire show, 4 minutes were this.
Like this. My God.
Oh my God. Oh my effing God.
And finally, after it all came off, and that poor girl had to stand there naked and just stand there. And he just stood there. And I guess we're supposed to get, I did. It was very, I overused the word poignant.
That part was like, that I got. Like, they're kind of just like.
But it was so long that I was uncomfortable.
But that didn't bother me. It was the undressing, the 4 minute long undressing. And I'm telling you, it started at 42 minutes in and ended up 46 minutes in.
You guys, the undressing was akin to Poldark riding his horse.
This way and that way. And this
that way.
When I think to myself, that's 4 minutes of like going silently and thoroughly to pieces that we missed.
Yep. Because frankly, as awesome as that was, as awesome as the sex is in that scene, like for me, if I had to say, you can have 1 minute in that entire episode and the rest of it's gone, what are you keeping? I'm keeping like the kiss in the beginning. You know what I mean? During the initial reunion. To me, that was better, as much as it was really good. You know what I mean? So
I have a hot take for you.
You have
my hot take is this.
What are you, Wendy Williams?
I have a hot take. Today's hot take is this.
How you doing? Tracy, let's go to see Wendy Williams. Would you come with me? I would love to go see Wendy
Someday when I'm not
Williams.
working 12 hours a day, I will, yes.
I just love her. She's so funny.
Here's my hot take. And I wrote this down. I got the sense that the producers thought that when everyone talked about the reunion, they meant the brothel part of the reunion. But at least in this fan's mind, and I think in Carol's mind, and I think in a lot of other fans' minds, reunion really means print shop.
Means piss on the ale pot.
Means piss in the ale pot, means goes quietly and thoroughly to pieces. All of that stuff that happens in the print shop.
Yep, that's the reunion.
Why we buy our ticket to that reunion.
Right.
It's not the sex. It's not the 4 minutes of undressing.
Dear God, what was that? What was that? Was that artistic?
The undressing in the book, and I mean, this isn't a spoiler because it's just how it's different in the book. They're like, it goes down basically the same way. They're like, will you come to bed with me? And, to sleep or to, and they're like, well, we'll just sort of play it by ear, I guess. And they start getting undressed like themselves. And Jamie, it's very much like the wedding. And Jamie's like, oh, I should help you with the laces and whatnot. And that's when he sees the zipper and he's like, what the hell is this? It's not like 4 minutes of like, okay, we will now undress each other now. It's more organic than that. It's just like
I'm probably making terrible microphone noise.
Yeah. So, and I just was also laughing because like she made like this is why I kind of did like the bat suit from last week was a little weird because I knew what was coming with the whole zipper and they kept the whole zipper thing in, but like wouldn't you think if she went to all the trouble to make an authentic like outer dress, she would see the zipper and be like, oh no, I will have none of that, and like take it out and put buttons in it instead. I guess not. I don't know. Whatever. I was glad they had it.
But she had the zipper in the book.
I know, but also in the book, she just bought the dress off the rack somewhere, and it had the dress. In the book, it's the dress that has the zipper. It
was, and they say, I want to say Gunny Sacks, and that's not it.
It's Jessica McClintock, but not that. It's Jessica something else.
It's, and like I said, I have it saved in my Kindle. Yeah.
I can find it, but I don't feel like it.
All right. If you talk, maybe I might be able to find it.
Okay. So that's my overall impression is
Gutenberg.
Yes, Gutenberg. Yes. Jessica Gutenberg. Good call. Yeah, I felt like I don't know. Somebody felt like the focus was supposed to be the brothel and the sex, and in my mind, it was always the print shop. And there you go. Okay. Anything? My next thing is the nose break, which I thought was hilarious and awesome. And again, I love... Carol and I were saying something the other day about how part of what's so great about this whole series, whether it's the books or the TV show, these characters, they do what happens to them is unexpected, and they turn stereotypes on their ear. So... you would expect this reunion to be like, swoon-worthy and like they fall into the bed and they like, make passionate whoopee, whatever. No, they like smack each other on the nose and she's like, oh my God, I broke my nose. Like, that's just so quintessential Outlander.
It totally is. Love it. And I have to say, I have to back up a little bit. I loved one of my favorite lines of this entire season series. I have burned for you for so long. Do you know that? Why don't people talk like that? Wow. I have burned for you for so long.
I'm sure Tom burns for you all the time.
God bless him. He's burning, but it's not for me. God, was that inappropriate?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I burned for you.
Yeah. Now, I don't even have much to say about like that whole part, all the sex and like the chit chat afterwards, except it was really great. The two of them have really good chemistry. They just are so comfortable with each other. It was very cute. It was very much like I pictured Jamie and Claire being. Like, they've gotten that out of the way. They've gotten back on the horse.
I feel like it's very, very authentic.
Yeah, they
really authentic. I was like,
did it look
oh,
real to you?
Hey, some actors will pretty much go there for their craft. I was like,
that was the case.
Damn, how can this not? I mean, it was just perfection, I have to say. And I'm not a big one that's like, oh, the sex scene, but I really thought it was good. Good from a how did they shoot it standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally get you.
The sound, their reactions, the timing. Damn.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It was very good. The whole thing was good. Good. The only thing I wrote down really is the only plot point that you need to know is that Jamie's been doing a little smuggling on the side, and he's smuggling a little liquor and stuff like that, and that's why that's his connection to Madame French Toe Lady.
Madame French Toe Lady.
That she kind of helps him out in his smuggling. But they were just, I mean, it was really great. It was very much like the book. All the pillow talk, right out of the book.
Oh, yeah, and him not telling her what he does, and her being are you going to tell me what you do for a living?
Okay. So next morning, Jamie gets dressed. He has a meeting to go to. So, Claire, you stay here, and I'll be back, in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Well, I mean, Jamie, come on. I mean, it's only been 20 years. You couldn't have forgotten that she's never going to stay there in that room. But before she leaves, knock on the door. And it's Wee Ian!
Oh, my God. I was so excited.
So what do we think of Wee Ian?
All right. First of all, I love myself some Wee Ian. What is my shirt? I have a shirt that I made in the mop shop that is about Wee Ian that I love, and I own it. But I also love, what's his name? The actor who plays him?
John Bell?
He's from Paisley.
Okay.
Love Paisley. Tom's cousins live in Paisley, have stayed in Paisley. It's a great, great town. So when I heard him speak, I was like, I love you. He's so authentic and good and perfect. How do you like his looks?
Perfect.
Because Wee Ian is supposed to be homely in a cute way.
Yeah. That was a tough call, but no, I thought it was great. He reminded me, this is so obscure, and I have to find this clip and post it. Here, there's a little girl in Kindergarten Cop, one of the kindergartners that he looks exactly like, and I have to find it. I was like, oh my God, he could be her big brother.
It's not a Toma.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
It's not a Toma.
Oh my God, I love that movie so much.
Oh my God. Sadly, I've seen that movie many times.
Oh my God. Okay. He's a little old, I would say. He's 16. And I don't know if that math quite adds up, but it's all good. We'll give it a pass. It's all good. All good, bro. And I did like him a lot. He's quite perfect.
Oh, he's perfect. I'm looking at him right now. He's perfect.
Okay. So Claire goes down for some breakfast with the ladies. And all I have to say is that this was channeling the spirit of Piper Chapman on Orange is the New Black, and the first meal that she had in prison. Because one of those girls was totally one of the meth heads from Orange is the New Black.
Where's Crazy Eyes? Because she's my favorite. I love Crazy Eyes. Suzanne.
I was just like, oh my God, is Big Red gonna wander over to the table at any given moment? And yeah. It was pretty funny. Anything to say about the horse? It was good. It was right out of the book. It was
cute.
A fun scene. I'm glad they left it in. It's kind of like a throwaway scene, but it's a fun little scene from the book, and I liked that they left it in.
Right. Totally liked it. Loved it in the book.
So Madame
you want to say Blanche.
Madame, head of the brothel, is shocked. Shocked, I tell you, that Claire is fraternizing with the help.
Yeah.
And so she's like, no.
And Claire's all pretending to be a big fat hoe.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. Claire's like, I'm just going to pretend they will never know. And we're just going to
play the part. I'm going to play the part.
Oh my God, I see the total meth head.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, it was her. It's not Pennsatucky. It's like, I never remember their names, those two meth heads.
Oh, and then they grabbed her lady bits.
I know. So Claire goes back upstairs, and you could see that guy like talking to Madame in the background when Claire was fraternizing with the meth heads. So he's found his way into her room, and I don't know whether Mademoiselle let her in the room or what happened.
Oh, Mademoiselle probably hired him.
But he is not good news. He's looking for something. Claire was like, well, that's my husband's stuff you're looking through. And he's like, oh, well, then you must know where the ledgers are. She's like, no. And he's like, yeah, well, you're going to tell me. And that's pretty much it. What did we think of the cliffhanger here?
I like it. It's typical Outlander. Reminds me of, I'll thank you to take your hands off my wife.
That's true. Yeah, it was unexpected, certainly. I didn't expect an episode like this that was like so geared towards, the reunion and reminiscing and, whatever, to end like that.
No, I didn't either. It's funny because when I watched it again, I had kind of forgotten. And then I watch it again and I'm like, oh my God, they really did end it there.
Yep.
I had to laugh, and this is just an aside. That scene of them all, of her and the hoes and the hoods and the hookers.
The hookers? Hookers.
That scene must have taken all damn day because they're all eating. They're over everybody's shoulder. Like that type of stuff, they have to do it. They have to cut it. And when they do it again, they have to eat the exact same way.
Right.
When you said, oh, I walked across the street, you have to pick up the cantaloupe and shove it in your mouth at the same time you did it last time.
Right.
And they have people writing down exactly
the supervisor.
The script supervisor writes down. Oh, I didn't think. No offense, I didn't know if you knew that or not, so I wasn't going to say.
It's not like I'm not in a theater or anything.
So you have the script supervisor writing all of this down. She took Claire.
It's almost always a she. FYI.
And puts it in her mouth. I had to laugh one time when Tony told me that he thought I would be good at that. I was like, dude, you don't know me. I am so scatterbrained. I could never. But, put the cantaloupe. So they yell cut, then they do it again, then they have to do it the same way. She walked across the street with the cantaloupe. So I'm watching the scene, and every single one of these girls, whoa, oh yeah. I'm thinking, oh my God, this must have taken the entire day just to film this stupid little, not that it's stupid, but this little scene of all of them sitting around the table. So what do you think about, I'm looking for her sitting and talking to him in the background. Why didn't I see that?
She's talking to somebody in the background, and I'm pretty sure it's that guy.
I'll have to watch it again.
You made me shut down all of the stuff on my computer, so I can't access it really, but...
Oh, did it work? Did the fan stop?
No.
No, because I can hear it. Sorry, guys. Someday we're going to get really, really technical. And
I know.
I'm getting a green screen. Ian and I are doing a green screen.
We'll have a Patreon one of these days, and we'll, fun stuff, but...
Would that be worth it, you guys? Should we do something like that?
A Patreon?
Yeah. How does everybody feel about stuff like that?
I mean, a Patreon... you and I have talked about Patreons, and the problem with Patreons is that you need to do additional content, and... Right now in our lives, now in October, the end of October or the middle of October, it's impossible. I literally...
I don't know. I see all kinds of sites where they say, listen, my point is if you want us to be a little bit more interesting and a little bit more professional with a good setup without my oven in the back of me.
I know. Well, we'll figure it out. But, I mean, that's always a possibility. But you do need to do, additional content for the patrons.
Just for Patreon. You don't have to do that with other...
So, wait, let me ask you this, you guys. Would you just give us money
She doesn't get the way it works. She doesn't get the way it works. That when you tell people this is really freaking difficult and I don't know how much longer I can do this and people want you to do it, then yeah. I was on some guy's site one day and he was like, you know what? This is hard work for me and I drink a lot of coffee. Buy me a coffee. And he had just had a little thing on his site that said, buy me a coffee. And you clicked in it and it sent him $1. And I thought, what a great idea. This guy's putting in all these hours. Are you kidding me? You seem to forget all the editing you do on the weekends.
I know. All right, let's just so give me your overall rating of this episode. Or your overall, like...
You mean like a scale of 1 to 10? That's really hard.
I'm going to do a letter grade and I'm going to give it a B.
I have to say, I absolutely loved it. And if I had to pick an episode, if I was stranded on a desert island with only my one Outlander episode, this might be it. I just absolutely loved the reunion in the print shop when they got back together, watching the emotion. I was so blown away by the emotion from these two. It was not even funny. I loved Jamie's point of view. I loved seeing it again. I appreciate Ron Moore and everybody who gave that to us, gave us the both point of view. They didn't have to do that in the show.
Yes, I agree.
And seeing it from her point of view and then seeing it from his point of view was a gift as far as I'm concerned. So I really appreciated that. I am always a fan of starting with the one point of view, but then going back and showing us this point of view. Midnight Sun.
I agree. I like the 2 points of view. Yes.
I just... And again, this isn't like a, you suck, you guys. This is just, I'm sorry. I get that you have to cut stuff out. I get that it doesn't always make sense to shoot it from this angle or keep this in. But I needed that. The only thing keeping me from saying like it was a 10 was I needed the going to pieces and I didn't get. And you guys, this isn't like Tracey and I talked about it and said, let's talk about the going to pieces. The two of us were together over the weekend, as we all saw from that crazy video. And Tracey was like, what was your take? And we are very careful to know, first of all, we're not together very often, but we just happen to be very lucky and be together over the weekend. But we both said, all right, we're not going to talk about it, but just your opinion on anything. And I said, why didn't he go to pieces? And she was like, yes, he didn't go to pieces. And then we cut it and said, all right, we'll talk about this when we make the video. But yeah, I needed that and I didn't get it. And I did not like him. And I love Willie. I love Willie, the character, the relationship, love it all. But I did not need it in this episode.
I would agree on both counts. I would say that episode 4 of the season, or 304, the whole Hellwater episode is still my favorite of the season. I'm going to go there and just say that, like, and again, I'm always measuring, again, I can't help measuring my experience as a book reader. The Willie stuff really did some damage to my psyche with this episode. Ain't gonna lie.
Because it changes the character. It changes Jamie's whole persona that he would do that and say that.
Right. It's like he doesn't really... I know it's not that he doesn't care about his daughter, but like... The fact that he's like, yeah, but let's talk about Willie.
He makes Brianna the redheaded stepchild.
He totally does. Brianna takes second place. And I just can't get past that. I thought that the brothel was great for the most part. It was what I had imagined. I thought Sam and Kat did a fantastic job with this.
Would you have been happier if she looked up at him and said, "Why are you telling me about your son when I'm sitting here trying to tell you about your daughter?"
The thing is, I mean, she
didn't really have much of a reaction.
She didn't have much to say, and like that's something to process. Like, but I mean, again, like. I would almost expect it if I'm her and I'm going through all the scenarios in my head about what his life might be like. Okay, you know he was in prison, and then you have this like span of 10 years, say, that you don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He very well could have gotten married. He very well could have a couple of kids running around. So it's not going to be it's not going to be a massive shock to her that he does, in fact, have another kid. I just don't want to hear about it right now. It's about their kid right now. That's all I have to say. Mic drop.
Throw the mic. Throw
Mic
it.
drop. Mic drop. Wait.
Andy Dufresne.
Andy Dufresne. I don't really get it, you guys. It's not that much funny. It's not that funny to me.
It never gets old. It never gets
right.
old. But she has to do the lean over. Andy Dufresne. What did you just say that made me want to comment on what was the last thing you just said?
Willie didn't belong. It was about their daughter. It wasn't about Willie. It wasn't about his kid. It was about their kid.
I had a thought that went because I had to be Squirrel and Andy Dufresne all over the place.
I don't know. All I know is I am fading fast.
Me too. And I have to get right back in the car and drive to Philadelphia again tomorrow. So it's time to go.
I have to get right back in the car and drive to work tomorrow and stay there for 12 hours. Ugh. Guys, who has a job for me? Who wants to hire me and Carol to do this? Only pay us.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even kidding you guys. Like,
you know what I want to know?
We'll do it. We'll do this for you, for money.
Here's what I want to know. Although we will. You guys, we totally will. We totes will. Do you ever wonder if any celebrities like ever watch any of this? Ever watch any outlet? Like watch anything? Go look up Outlander sites. I don't even mean Outlander celebrities. I just mean celebrities. Are you someone? We want to know. I know I've gone there before.
I know I've checked before, like on Twitter, like who's verified that follows us, and there's some soap opera actress that does.
Yeah, but that just could be she took at her publicity. They
Sam
just follow everybody.
us, and he's a celebrity.
Yeah, Sam started following us when no one knew how to say his last name.
And Graham McTavish follows us too.
I don't know.
Actually, a good number of not a good number. Like, not so much. I mean, like, Stephen Walters follows us. Foyer follows us. Ross.
Again, though, it's Twitter, so you don't know if it's like some PR person just
Yeah, no.
I always just wonder if there's anyone out there who, is some type of celeb who watches us once in a while. I just would love to know that. Wouldn't you?
If you're famous, let us know.
We can't say, though, because whoever it was wouldn't come forward if they thought we were going to get online and be all,
Tracey at myoutlanderpurgatory.com, Carol at myoutlanderpurgatory.com.
And
if you're famous, email us. I'm going to put you on the show.
No, or we won't say a word if you don't want us to, but I would love to know. You know what? We'll never know because no celebrity is going to watch us for this long because most of you have gone to bed already.
All right.
Nobody's going to watch us this long.
As where we need to go because it's already really late.
All right. Let me just finish that last statement. Don't you guys ever wonder that? Like, what celebs are big Outlander fans? Not necessarily watch Mop, watch stupid videos, but I would love to know that. Like, wouldn't you love to have a round table with...
I read Maya Bialik's blog. It's like a website. It's called Grok Nation. Yeah. And she's mentioned watching Outlander before on that.
Love that. But they mentioned on Orange is the New Black.
They mentioned on Orange is the New Black, correct. That was the book. And
they mentioned on a soap opera. Remember, we all ran and watched the soap opera?
Yeah, on General Hospital or something.
Yeah. So people are out there. Well, look at Terry.
They're just like us. They watch Outlander just like we do.
They're just like you and me.
Just like us. All right. On that note,
it's time to say goodbye.
We're all stars. You guys are great. You're as special as a celebrity to us.
You guys are awesome because you're better because you put up with us.
So thank you in advance for being patient with us and our book ties and whatnot. And we're very curious to see what you guys have to say about this episode in the comments. Whether you're a book reader or not book reader or whatever. So let us know on YouTube. Let us know on the blog. Let us know on Facebook. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know wherever you'd like to. You can even email us.
myoutlanderpurgatory.com.
And much as we kind of loved last weekend and having a nice break, we're back We'll be back next week with episode 307. I don't know what it's called yet, but
if we could work this night out, we can totally work out any week.
Yeah.
Because this was a crazy day.
This was a crazy day. All right, you guys. Have a great week. We will see you next week. Keep in touch, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.